All right. Well, hello, everybody. Today is January the 30th, 2022. And we are on week 4 of our original Boss Babe, Mary Kay Ash, the original Boss Babe. And it's under Be Willing. I don't know if you have looked this over, but I think it's going to might step on some toes every now and then, because you know how sometimes we're able, but are we willing? And sometimes we're just not willing. And that's why, we just won't do it. So I want to go over some of this with y'all. I'm going to share the screen with you. And I hope you guys had a really, really great week. I know that I sure did. Okay. So today is under Be Willing. And we have already went through the first 3 weeks. And if you just can you can remember back what we talked about, the very first week was Mary Kay's secret weapon. And the secret weapon was belief, if y'all remember that. And then the second week was enthusiasm, makes a difference. And last week was about discipline. And so this week is called Be Willing. And so the definition of be willing is defined as being ready, eager, or prepared to do something out of your comfort zone or something that stretches you. And I know that since March 2020, a lot of us have definitely stretched out of our comfort zone and done some things that we have never done before. Like maybe you had never gone live before, ever. Maybe at your grandchild's birthday party or at your wedding reception, you went live, but other than that, never, right? And so some of us have really stretched. And so if you want to change, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. And you know what? Sometimes being uncomfortable is not uncomfortable forever. It's just the first couple times you do it. And I know any of you, especially new consultants, that first time you do your first party, you're just a little nervous about it, right? And you're just like, I don't even know. But the second one you do better, the third one, and by the 10th or 20th or 100th, you could do it in your sleep, right? So we're going to talk about the Mary Kay's example on this. And so I want you to just think, and you can answer this in the chat if you want to, can you describe yourself as being willing in your business? Or you don't have to answer, maybe just answer that to yourself, okay? And so I want to show you something that I just kind of looked up. These are synonyms to being willing on the left side of the page. So I just want to read these to you, and then I'm going to read you the opposite meaning of being willing, okay? And you think about yourself, which one of these categories are you most in? So the similar meanings would be being prepared to, being ready to, being inclined to, being disposed to come prepared, batten down the hatches, to be developed, be minded to, be predisposed to be prepared for, to bone up, to come all set, to come organized, to come prepared to, come prime, come ready, come set, come willing, to do one's homework, to gear up, to get one's ducks in a row. Don't y'all like that when we say that? To get prepared and get ready for it. And then the opposite of being willing is this. And like when I read these, you're going to be like, I don't want to do that. Being afraid to, be apathetic to, be adverse to, be disinclined to, be hesitant to, be loath to, be nervous to, be opposed to, be whatever that word is to be reluctant to be resistant to be slow to be unenthusiastic to be unprepared to be unwilling to be ill-equipped, be incapable, be incompetent, be ineligible, be inexperienced, be not equal to, be not up to, be unequipped, be unfit, and be unprepared. So as I read those to y'all, I mean, obviously, we want to be in the be willing to category, right? We do not want to be in the be unwilling to category or the opposite of that. And so I want to, go backwards here. I want to ask you in the book, it says, what are some examples, if you feel like you are willing, and I know a lot of you are, what are some examples where you feel like that you were willing and what happened as a result? So if you can think of some of those in the chat, I would like you to do that. And I'm just going to, I know I have not talked to the directors about this, but I'm just going to call on just a couple of you if you think of something right off the bat. And I'm going to share one with you. for me. Back when I was 30, way long time ago, I had an opportunity. I got a couple of consultants because my national sales director retired from Michigan, and Belinda Johnston was one of them. And so I had just won a pink Cadillac, and I got a couple consultants from Mississippi, and I thought, well, my national, they could pick whatever unit they wanted to go in. And my national told them that I was young and that I probably would travel. Now, I had up to this point really had not traveled that much in my business. So I thought, okay. So I got in my pink Cadillac, and from Georgia, I drove to Michigan to meet these girls that were in my unit now who I did not know at all. I spent the night with them. One of the dogs jumped in the bed with me. Thank you very much. I slept with one of her granddaughter, or actually her daughter, who was first time I slept with her daughter, who was like 14. And then the next night I was on like a hideaway, and then the dog came in. He needed to go to the bathroom, and I didn't know what to do. The dog was crying. So I got up, and I thought, well, I guess I'll let the dog in. I thought, I pray that dog comes back in. What am I going to do? But he did. And when he did, or she, I know it was a he jumped in the bed with me. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a big old Labradoodle too. Anyway, so funny. But, it's a little out of your comfort zone to just go and spend the night with people that you don't even know. Of course, and now that 15-year-old girl, she is in her 30s. She has 3 children. One of her sons is graduating from high school this year. And so, I mean, like, they're like my Michigan family, Another one was from Mississippi. And so I went over to Mississippi, and I did the same thing. I stayed at their home. I did a meeting. I got to know them over there. And so because of that, you guys, in several other areas too, Arkansas, I have consultants in my unit from all over, probably I was looking the other day, it was about 28 states. And I just signed up a girl that lives in Oregon. And so it's pretty exciting when you are willing to invest some money, because you have to pay gas, right? You have to feed yourself, and drive. Like for me, that was one of the things that I decided I was willing to do, is to travel to build my business. So I wanted to just make that one. So Latrice, I would like for you to just unmute if you can think of just one example where you did something that you were willing to do and what results it might have brought you.
All right. Yes, I was sitting here thinking about how I used to just jump in my car and drive for, it was over an hour and a half one way to my sales meetings with my adopted director, because my director lived in San Antonio, and how we had no cell phones, nothing, didn't even think about it. And every Monday night I drove, and the results from that, I became a sales director. So was it uncomfortable? It was, but it was just something I was willing to do. So, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Exactly.
And, so I'll never forget that. And not even thinking about having a flat or, anything. I mean, I was gone. So,
right.
Anyway.
And, and I have talked to directors that they say, oh, I'm not going to travel. They are unwilling to do that. And,
right.
And that's their choice. But it is interesting when you are willing. So Selah, I'm going to ask Selah, and we'll spotlight her for a second. If you can something came to your mind, if something came to your mind of something that you were willing to do, because I know you've done a lot of work with, well, anyway, you just tell me something you were willing to do and then the results from it.
Well, I was thinking of 2 separate instances. One was as I was building my business as a single mom, and how crazy those times were. We had football, we had baseball, we had dancing, we had so many activities. But the commitment that I had towards my Mary Kay business did not waver. I did not miss meetings. I did not miss functions. And, it really carried me through a lot of crazy times. And then once I got grown, I became a sales director. But I was totally committed. I did not miss. We met once a week, and I just worked it out. I got babysitters. Their dad would keep them, but it was so worth it. And then the other thing I was thinking about was my willingness to just go out, maybe not travel because I, had young kids at home, but just to go out and work my business in the field. Even when I did not feel like it, I knew if I could get in my car and get to where the people were, that was just so life-giving. And what happened is I developed relationships and people in all these small towns around our local town. And my business just boomed. I was number one in sales. I was number one in recruiting. And just not that it was easy, but I was willing to do the work. So those are two that I could think of.
Okay, awesome. And then I'm going to ask other offspring on here, Loree, spotlight you for a second. And I didn't call these gals in advance, but sometimes when you hear a question, you kind of pops in your head. Loree, what's an example you can think of?
Well, as Latrice and Sayla both were talking, what comes to mind is being consistent with being disciplined to do the things that you say you're going to do. Like when I signed up, I went to school to learn how to do something. On my job, I did what it took to learn how to do something. And, just the commitment to always being back in the day, I drove to Valdosta every single Monday night to go to the meeting. And I guess part of what I'm getting to is just being willing to do what you say you're going to do, even when it's inconvenient or you're tired at the end of a work day. And it's just, I've just done that all of my Mary Kay career. When I've said I was going to do something, I did it. No matter what. Even like this weekend, Heather Fish is on the call, and I committed to her a few weeks ago that I would come and help her do a face-to-face party, and drove to Dothan. And I won't lie, Friday night when I heard it was going to be so cold, like the coldest day of the year, and I was like, man, my fireplace sure would be good to curl up with my husband by the fireplace Saturday. But, I got up and I got ready and I loaded my stuff up, and we had a great time. And yes, it would have been easy to call and say, hey, you girl, you got this, you can do it, with the weather or whatever. But it was a beautiful day, and we had a great time, and she had some good sales from it. And so, but that's just one example, but it's over the lifetime of a career of just doing what you say you're going to do.
Exactly. Thank you, Loree. And we'll come back to some of the other directors in just a little bit, but I just wanted you to hear some just real life, of some of these gals that made some sacrifices and made some decisions, and they were willing in what it took. Now, the opposite of that is what stops you from being willing. And so in the chat, I'd like y'all to just put that. The first word that came to my mind is laziness. Laziness, that you just don't want to make the effort. You guys can tell me in the chat, what's something you can think of? Yes, procrastination. That's a huge one, especially for women. Fear, I put that down too. Doubt and fear, being tired, being inconvenienced, obstacles. These are very good. And these are always a wimpy mentality. Yes. Or, being afraid of failure. Like, I'm going to make this effort. I'm going to drive over there. I'm going to call this girl. She's going to shoot me down. That all that gets in your head. And so what I want to do is I'm going to, and if you have your book, you can grab it. But if you happen to have purchased the book, pass it on. The book from Jennifer Cook, who was Mary Kay Ash's assistant for years and years. There's just a 3 or 4 page chapter, and it's Mary Kay Ash, her typical day. And I'm just going to read it to you. Story time with Cleta. At first, when I read in the book, I thought it's the whole chapter, but it goes really fast. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. And I want you to, as I read it, in the chat or make notes of places where you see that Mary Kay was willing to do the things that helped her be successful. Okay. And so starts off the chapter with a Bible verse. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit your work unto the Lord and your plans will be established. And then Mary Kay has a quote in here. It says, because I have a fetish about starting each day with a clean desk, I take home whatever is left when I leave in the afternoon and do it at night or early in the morning of the next day. So when I arrive to the office, everything is finished from the day before. I'm like, you go, Mary Kay. So this is, of course, from Jennifer Cook. It says, one question I'm frequently asked is, what's Mary Kay's typical day like? The one-word answer would be productive. Mary Kay would always say that she was a workaholic and proud of it. She found work rewarding, for she felt that her God-given mission was to help women. Mary Kay would rise at 5 a.m., ouch, every morning when she was raising her 3 children and building her Stanley business. And Stanley Home Products is what she used to sell before she started Mary Kay. She had to find a way to increase her productivity. So one of her solutions was to get up early. She continued this habit throughout her whole lifetime. She called her early risings the 5 o'clock club, and she often encouraged others to join her. In Mary Kay's experience, 3 early risings make an extra day. She discovered that getting up early allowed her to accomplish in 1 hour what she might normally take her 3 hours. She would get up and do her household chores tirelessly during the early mornings. At 8:30, she would work on something beneficial for her business, and she would only take a 30-minute lunch break. Mary Kay says she learned to shorten unnecessary phone calls and interruptions, just as if she had been working a full-time job for someone else and had a boss looking over her shoulder. She kept a 3-minute timer at her desk, as well as a doorbell chime. And I remember her saying this, you guys. She said when she had trouble getting someone off the phone, because we all have that, right? She would ring her chime and say, "That must be the doorbell. I'll talk to you later." So she had a little fake doorbell. Ding dong. Hey, it was a doorbell, right? Mary Kay was also an expert at organization. As the head of the company, she found much work piled on her desk at the end of every day. When she left the office at night, she took unfinished work home in her pink tote bag. Mary Kay left her desk completely clear of any work. The next morning when she got up early, she tackled what was in her pink bag. She would dictate from her home, and she had her own special phone, just like the President of the United States has a special phone that connects to the Pentagon. That her phone connected to a recorder on my desk. When I arrived at the office, I usually found a whole day's work already lined up for me. Mary Kay also wrote handwritten notes and planned out her day. When she arrived at the office, she would plop the contents of her pink tote bag on my desk to either complete or distribute. Her desk was always neat. My desk was always messy. It was funny. Next, she would go in her office with her 6 most important things I must do today list. As a master of getting things done, she frequently shared this organizational concept with others. And in time, Mary Kay produced notepads of these blank lists for the entire sales force to use. According to Mary Kay, she got the idea from the story of Ivy Lee, a productive consultant and public relations pioneer in the early 1900s, who called on Charles Schwab, president of the Bethlehem Steel Corporation. And Lee told Schwab that he could increase Schwab's efficiency in sales if Lee just spent 15 minutes with each of his executives. And Mr. Schwab said, "How much is it going to cost me?" And he said, "Nothing unless it works." And so each day for the next 3 months, Lee went to the executive office at the end of the day and helped the executives make a list of the 6 most important things they had to do for the next day. And Schwab and executives would order the list together. If the executives didn't finish their list, they put the unfinished list at the top of their list for the next day. Well, 3 months later, Charles Schwab was so impressed with the results, he sent Lee a check for $35,000. When Mary Kay heard of Lee's idea, she got excited and she immediately used it herself. And you see that in Mary Kay's book, and we've talked about that before. And she said it was good enough for Charles Schwab, and it's $35,000 productivity that she would do it too. So on top of all her paperwork, Mary Kay's days were jam-packed with phone calls, meetings, and appointments. However, and I really like this part, it says, however, she kept her door open when she wasn't in meetings or eating lunch, and staff could just pop in and out of her out of her office without an appointment. And no matter how busy she was, Mary Kay always had time to visit with the sales force members when they came to her office. She said that Mary Kay valued her sales force. She could relate to them because her own career began in sales, and she knew how challenging it would be. And I often said that Mary Kay had a sales force radar. She seemed to sense if any sales force members were in the building and would come out of her office to greet them. In her heart, she was always a salesperson. Mary Kay modeled great work ethic. She lived by the adage, work will win when wishing won't. When she was a young girl, her mother would tell her, much good work is lost for the lack of a little bit more. Mary Kay never forgot this and worked tirelessly on the behalf of women. When interviewers would ask her what her goal was, I would often hear her say, if just one more woman discovers how really great she is and how much God-given talent she has, it will be a great day. And so Mary Kay, this was kind of cute. I thought it says Mary Kay, she said no job was too little or unimportant for Mary Kay, including tending to the office plants. I didn't know this about Mary Kay. So she loved plants, and she often checked the plants in the office to see if they needed watering. If they were dry, she'd take them to the sink and drown them, much to the dismay of our plant experts. She would pull off the dead leaves. She would also take the sponges from the coffee bar home and wash them. She said after work, she made her own coffee, her own tea, and her own lunch. I mean, at work, she made her own coffee, her own tea, her own lunch. After Mary Kay's husband died, her husband Mel died in 1980, the company hired a protective services team for Mary Kay. This team was responsible for driving her to the office and other places. Well, Mary Kay refused. She said she refused at first, so her security officers would sit in front of her house, wait for her to leave, and follow her to work. And Mary Kay always thought it was great fun to try to lose them. I mean, y'all, this is Mary Kay Ash. She said that when a light turned yellow, she slowed down as if she was going to stop. And instead, she'd race through at the last minute so she'd lose the people trying to protect her. And it said she would even sneak out of the house. One of her friends would call her to see if she'd like to get a hot dog, a favorite meal of Mary Kay's, and she would leave by the sliding patio door and meet him on the corner. At one point, her son, Richard Rogers, helped her see how serious her behavior was. And Mary Kay no longer raced through the yellow lights, but she would not let the security detail drive her. She wanted to maintain her independence. And she said what finally persuaded Mary Kay to let her officer's driver was the gasoline crisis in the mid-1980s. Gas station lines were long and prices were high, and ever practical and economical. Mary Kay came out of her house one morning and said to Nancy Thompson, which is one of her assistants, "Are we ready to go?" Nancy assumed they were to drive together, and that was that. Even after she began letting others drive her, Mary Kay's passion and for haste did not diminish. One day when Nancy was driving, Mary Kay informed Nancy, "You're going to have to talk to the new officer." All kind of thoughts began throwing through Nancy's mind. Mary Kay said, he always goes the speed limit. When he comes to a stop sign, he always stops, even if no one's around. And Nancy responded, "I can't tell him to break the law." Of course, Mary Kay then saw the absurdity of her request and started laughing. She said, "Well, you can tell him to hurry up." Another time, Nancy was waiting for Mary Kay at the airport. One of the officers was to drive her that morning. When they pulled up, Mary Kay was in the driver's seat, and the officer sat in the passenger seat. He wasn't driving fast enough for Mary Kay, so she had him pull over and she took the wheel. Can y'all just imagine Mary Kay doing this? As Mary Kay developed skills as a saleswoman and a motivator, she learned the value of reading inspirational and motivational books. When she was just beginning her career in sales and found herself struggling, she read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. She credited this book with turning her whole career around. When Mary Kay found a motivational book she liked, she would suggest it to the sales force. And I remember her suggesting that book. In fact, she said, when I began my employment, there was a recommended list of books on sales and motivation for the sales force. And as the times changed, Mary Kay started listening to educational cassettes in her car. Even before cassette decks were built into cars, she kept a cassette player in the front seat next to her and listened to her on the drive to and from work. Y'all remember, how many of y'all that are a little bit older remember the old cassette players that you could put them in your car? Mary Kay also used the cassette player to listen to tapes that the sales force members would send her in place of writing letters. Some of these tapes were quite lengthy, and her staff often thought, who would listen to these? But Mary Kay always listened. After listening, she would respond with a letter. She once received a cassette tape from a blind beauty consultant, and the two began a cassette relationship. Mary Kay would record a message, mail it to the beauty consultant, and later receive an answer from her blind friend. Over time, with Mary Kay's encouragement, this woman rose to the level of sales director. No matter what day of the week and how busy she was at work, however, Mary Kay tried to live for God. In the top drawer of her desk, she kept this prayer. I'm going to show you the prayer too, because I put it on the screen so y'all can look at it. This was Mary Kay's daily prayer that she had in the top drawer of her desk. And Jennifer said she referred to it a lot. It says, "Oh Lord, grant that each one who has to do anything with me today may be happier for it. Let it be given me each hour today what I shall say. Grant me the wisdom of a loving heart that I may say the right thing. Help me to enter into the mind of everyone who talks with me and keep me alive to the feelings of each one present. Give me a quick eye for little kindnesses, that I may be ready in doing them, graciously receiving them. Give me a quick perception of the feelings and needs of others, and make me eager-hearted in helping them. Isn't that wonderful? What a wonderful leader that we have. So I wonder in the chat, I'm going to look if any of you put some of the things. Yeah, I'm just going to read some of these that y'all put. Of some of the things that Mary Kay did. I know it's a little lengthy, you guys, that she was willing to do to help her be successful. So allowing other people's priorities to be more important. Oh, that was the other thing. Okay. Let's see. The doorbell. Okay. Being willing to do the 6 most important things without complaining, being a servant leader, and always have time for those who needed her. And I thought that too, like all her thing was about doing for others and being efficient. I put down like the 5 o'clock club, of course, to clear that desk, to work on her stuff at home. I mean, Mary Kay had to be tired when she goes home, but instead she took all that stuff home and worked on it instead of getting to the office. Like, I've had an assistant come to my house before, and I have to admit, sometimes she get there and I'm like, I don't even know what I need you to do today. And it's just like, Mary Kay would never have done that, right? So what a great example to all of us. Mary Kay said that there are 4 types of people, and I found a little bit of a thing of it. She said there's 3 types, and then they added one. She said there are 3 types of people in this world: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. And then there's another one that we had in our workbook that says, and those who don't know that anything did happen. It says, we have a choice. You can decide which type of person you want to be. I've always chosen to be in the first group. And so what do you think? I mean, I know Mary Kay was in that make it happen group, right? And so then you think about yourself, which one of those are you in right now? Are you in the one that is a make it happen? Or are you just kind of watching things happen? Or you look at other people that are succeeding and go, what happened? Or maybe you're ones that don't even know anything is happening, right? So it's cute, but it is something to think about. You want to be a make it happen type person, right? And so the next question in our workbook said, before we look at what we're willing to do in our business this upcoming week, what have you been unwilling to do? So I thought of some things that could be on that list, and I want you to look at them, of some things that you might have been unwilling to do. And if you're a consultant, this could be something that maybe your director suggested you do, and you are able to do it, but you're unwilling. So let's just look at these and you might think of some more. Okay, if you think of some more than these, put them in the chat. But virtual parties, making your booking calls, introduce yourself to a stranger and offer a business card, offer the career opportunity to someone, get up earlier, stay up later, go live on social media, ask your friends to book, dress for success, even though it's not you, miss a Netflix show or a sitcom, invest in your business, attend functions like career conference we have coming up, learn a new skill, study the education modules on In Touch. And so can you guys think of any more than that, of things that like sometimes you feel like some people are unwilling to do? Or it don't have to be you. Why you could, if you don't want to tell on yourself, maybe one of your team members are unwilling to do this, which we know that's really us, right? Believe in yourself. Unwilling to believe in yourself that you can do it, right? And so I want you to think about this is then you think about how has your unwillingness impact your progress in building your business? And so some of the things that I didn't put on that list could be like, your unwillingness to be more disciplined with your time, like maybe limit yourself of how much time you're scrolling on social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, all the different ones that people have. Do you limit your time? Are you getting on there doing some business, or are you on there and like 2 hours has been by and you're like, I don't even know what I just did, right? I mean, so think about that too. Are you willing to get up a little earlier to do something or stay up a little bit later, right? So think about that as well. And so on the list of on the list of what are you unwilling to do, look at this, you guys. It's the same stuff of what are you willing to do. It's the same as that list. These are some of the things you could be willing to do, right? And so on our thing tonight, I want you to think about what are some things that you could write down on your piece of paper that you would be willing to do that before this you've kind of been unwilling to do. Okay. And I want you to think about that. And you don't have to pick all of them, maybe just one thing to work on this week. Like you look at the list and you may have some other stuff on your list, but you think, what is something that I have been unwilling to do? And like Loree, she drove a couple hours to Dothan, Alabama to do a party. I did a party on a Saturday and in the middle of the day and, spent about 3 hours on Zoom with a new consultant and doing a party. Are you willing to invest a little bit of time in your business this week? And so just pick a couple things and say, okay, maybe not forever, but maybe for this week, I'm going to be willing to do this and give it a shot. And just remember what we said at the beginning, that you might be uncomfortable at first, but it may turn into being something very beneficial for you. The Bible verse this week is this. It says, and without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. That's Hebrews 11:6. And so, we've talked about belief and faith, they go hand in hand. And, just have faith that if you put in the efforts that you are going to get some results from it, you guys. I wanted to just end with this, and then we'll kind of go over the challenges that we're having for the week. And then I'm sure we have some comments, but some of you probably heard of Kenneth and Gloria Copeland. They're pastors and just wonderful. And I found this on Be Willing. And she pulled up the verse, Isaiah 1:19. It says, if you be willing and obedient, you shall eat of the good of the land. And then she kind of compared this to all areas of your life. It says a healthy body, enough money to pay all your bills, and extra to invest in the work of the gospel, a godly marriage, a happy, healthy children, peace of mind. God has prepared a banquet full of blessings for you, but those blessings are not just going to fall in your lap. You must be willing as well as obedient if you're going to eat the best from God's table. So be willing. Don't be willing for Satan to put sickness in your body. Be willing instead to be well. In honor of Jesus' sacrifice at Calvary, refuse to accept anything less but divine health. Don't be willing to live in lack, but be willing instead to live in divine prosperity and abundance. Refuse to allow Satan to stop the flow of God's financial blessings to you. Be willing to receive God's plan for your marriage and your children. Don't settle for the norms of the world. Live above them in a home full of love and harmony, a home that is what God's meant to be. Don't allow Satan to substitute anxiety and ulcers for the peace and undisturbedness that Jesus brought for you. Be willing and obedient to cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. Refuse to be robbed of the banquet of blessings that has belonged to you since you became a believer. Instead, be willing to eat the good of the land. And then she has a scripture reading that you could read on that. And I thought that was just so good, just to kind of wrap up our whole thought of being willing. And so I want to remind everybody of the 9-week goal, and that's to attend at least 6 of the 9 Boss Babe sessions. We're on week number 4, and complete at least 3 of the 4 goals. And one of these you're going to need to complete by tomorrow night. And that's to be a Power by Pink achiever, ordered 600 or more in January. And then another one is to be a Power by Pink achiever in February. Pamper at least 30 women at virtual or in-person appointments from the 1st of January to the end of February, and add at least 1 new team member. And I'm sure a lot of y'all are already very close to all that. And so I would love to have some feedback from some of you, if you would like to. So you can just unmute and let's hear from a couple of people. Jana, you want to start us off? I know you do.
I do. You know I do. Okay, first of all, Mary Kay's got my heart. I knew she was a woman after my heart, but after I heard you reading about her running through the yellow light, that's the best. I love that, through tonight's lessons, we hear so much about her dedication and her willingness to work. And so you guys, this is my thing. Guess what? I know that if it's a contest between me and somebody else, I know I'm willing to do the work. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to just go, just be bold and ask for that facial, ask for that career talk? What's holding you back from your best? God has created you and God's got you right here for a reason. Okay. You're right here. Let's honor Mary Kay. You know, I can't even imagine, you know, like back in the day, how hard she worked. You know, we're talking about, you know, taking her stuff home. And you're right, Cleta, she was probably tired at the end of the day, but she continued on. And because she did, we have such an amazing opportunity right here, right now, that we have to be a good steward of. And we need to honor her in that. And so thank you for just firing up my heart for consistency. And when Larry was talking, commitment. Thank you for just bringing that to my heart too, that we have to have the commitment. And sometimes, you know, we get distracted. Like, you know, we were talking about what distracts us. Fear, procrastination. We're going down bunny trails and we're serving other people's dreams rather than the one that God put on your heart. What are you doing? So it's time for a little bit of Mary Kay Smackdown. Here today, she'd say, "What are you doing?"
That's right. And you know, sometimes it's like if Mary Kay herself, like if we said, okay, Mary Kay, I'm going to make 5 booking calls. And if we knew we had to call her tomorrow and tell her who we called, y'all don't think we wouldn't make 5 booking calls. I mean, I would not call Mary Kay and go, yeah, I didn't have time to do that. Never would I do that. So maybe we just need to pretend that we have to answer to Mary Kay Ash and tell her what we're doing, right? You might just need to set up a little thing in your phone that says, like, name it Mary Kay Ash. Just set up a fake whatever and text her and tell her what you're doing.
Honestly, I've got some consultants that are doing that actual exact thing. They contact 5 people a day and then they report in at the end of the day. Some of them send me their list of people that they called and what the results were. So, but you have that accountability.
Yeah.
Get that in place. Create that with your sales director.
That's right. Okay, who else would like to share? Go ahead, Sharon.
I would just, can you hear me okay? Cleta?
Yeah.
You unmuted us, so I'm good. So I just have a couple of cute stories about Mary Kay. My director dragged me up we were at a big area-wide meeting and she made me go up to the podium because Kathy Lou was there. And I didn't want to go. I'm like, she won't care about me. She doesn't want to know. She said, you're going. And I was in my red jacket, but my goal was directorship, but I was not confident that I could do it. And Kathy Lou grabbed my hand and she said, you can do it. You need to go gold medal. I'm like, gold medal? What is that? And she goes, that's 5 people this month. I said, 5? I never had more than 1 a month. 5? And do you know that handshake made me do it? And we did do 5 that month, which was kind of a minor miracle. But another funny thing about Mary Kay, Kathy Lou told a story about her, about how she went to a big banquet with Mary Kay. And she said she had all these rings on her hand. And Kathy looks at them. She said, what is that, Mary Kay? It looks like you colored in on one of your rings. And y'all might know this story. She said, oh yes, if you have a gown on and you want it to match, you just get a magic marker and just color your ring to match your gown. And we just thought that was hilarious that she would do that.
That's
but
awesome.
That's what she did. You know, she clipped coupons. That's the way she was. She was frugal.
I love it.
Sometimes I find myself wanting to, like, I think I want this blue ring to be pink. Maybe I could just color it in.
Yeah, that's right.
My dress.
That's exactly right. I remember telling she would color on the bottom of like she do on the bottom of them, and then the pink would show up, or blue, or whatever. So funny. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Who else would like to share?
Well, I love this series, and thank you so much for doing this. The thing that helped me during DIQ is I asked permission first, but I sent Cleta my 6 most important things list every single night.
Yeah.
And it kept me accountable because Cleta is like Mary Kay to me, right? So it was the fear. I was starting to freak out. I think it was like in my last month. And when I start to freak out and get overwhelmed, I just shut down. I just won't do anything. So I knew, like we all know what to do. So I knew what to do. I just had to make myself do it. So I asked her and she said, yes, just text them to me. So every night before I would go to sleep, I would jot 6 things down, and I knew that I had to get it done by the next day, or I had to, like not answer to Cleta, but in my heart, she was adopting me. And it was really important that I held my integrity and respected her time. So anyway, that's what helped me be willing, so, and thank you for taking that on.
You're very welcome. You're an easy one to take on, Maureen. Go ahead, Connie.
I'm just going to piggyback on really what they're saying, but if you have the ability to get a power partner, I highly recommend it. So while can you guys hear me okay, by the way? Okay, because my computer's acting very strange. I think I'm going to have to take it to the shop tomorrow, but, and there's this buzzing noise. Can you hear the buzzing noise?
Nope.
Okay, good. So anyway, while I was at leadership, my roommate and I decided we were going to become power partners and be accountable to each other every single day. And so, because we both have big goals that we want to achieve in the next 6 months, right, for the seminar year finish. And so we have been texting each other exactly what our activity is every single day. And I'll tell you, like, if I have a day where I haven't done anything, do you really think I want to text her and just tell her I was really lazy today and didn't feel like doing anything and didn't do anything? No. So what do? I usually will make sure I pick up the phone and make a couple of calls so that I can tell her I made some calls that day. So it just makes you, I think that Janice said the same thing. When you have somebody that you're being accountable to, and Maureen just said it too with the 6 most important things list. But if you don't have your own, like if you're a consultant and you don't have a consultant to be accountable for, then do it with your director, just like what Jan is saying. Her consultants are all sending her their things. We as directors would love it for you guys to send it to us. But if you're a director, find another director friend that's on this, either on the same level or higher than you that you want to be accountable to, because it makes you get out there and do what you say you're going to do.
So true. Thank you so much. Okay. Is there anybody else like to make a comment?
Can I just give a shout out here real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dolores and Tony are on here from Rosie's unit, and they've actually been those in that accountability group. So I just want to give them a shout out real quick for that consistency that they've had so far. So I'm so proud of them.
I love it. I love it. Well, you guys, just a few little reminders for this coming week. Number 1 is tomorrow's the last day of the month. And of course, you want to get your orders in. Keep in mind about the price increase that's going to be on the next order form, which is officially starting February the 16th. Okay. Those of you that did the preferred customer program, you'll be able to order the new spring products on February the 10th. You will want to look at that and make sure that you just order the spring products, I think it'll just have the spring products right there, not the other updated prices. So you'll be able to order at the current prices until the 16th. But so look at your shelf. If you sell a ton of eye makeup remover, it only makes sense to order some extra at the lower price. And then on the 16th, you're going to start with the new prices. The second thing is career conference. You can start registering for career conference. If you're in a national sales director's unit, a personal unit, you can register on the 1st. Otherwise, the first week, which is March 18th, 19th, you can register on the 2nd. And then the second week, I believe it's the 3rd or 4th. You can look that up. But just be watching for that. Make sure you have a decision of where you're going to career conference. All boss babes go to career conference. I don't know if I told y'all that. Like, there's no excuses. There's no unwilling to go to career conference. You got to go. So you will go on Friday. You'll spend the one night with your friends, and then you'll go back the next morning, and then it's usually over with around 4 or 5 o'clock that day. And so I haven't looked at all the schedule of it, but it's like 24 hours of power. You got to go. It's going to be awesome. It's in 23 different cities. So you just pick the one closest to you, or if you are within driving distance of the one where your sales director and your group is going, you could go there. But it really is the same conference every single place, except for there's different national sales directors and different teachers. But the company has representatives at every single place. So it's going to be awesome. So you want to just kind of put that on your calendar and watch for that. And then all the new products you will be able to see online on the 1st. And so that is on the 1st is on Tuesday. And then we'll be doing a little preview. I'll probably just do a little something with that and put on YouTube and share with that as well. But we will just continue. We may do a little bit of that at the end of the Boss Babe Call next week. Next week, the Boss Babe Call, is going to be on. It's going to be on determination, being determined. So we all need that, right? And so this is a very important month, though, because it is the start of the consistency club for the next 6 months, as far as like the 600. So if you're close to that, see what you got, and then you could be a 6-month consistency club winner for that. All right. And so I think that is the announcements I have, unless directors, if y'all can think of something else. I think that's it. Okay. So we will let y'all go. We'll see y'all next week. We're getting out a couple minutes early. So you got 15 minutes to make some booking calls, right? Because you were going to be doing Mary Kay anyway, except for my unit, and stay on the line because we're fixing to have a short unit meeting as well. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining in tonight.
Good night.